Are you struggling with SQL queries in Qt, especially when it comes to handling binary data? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into a common issue with QVariant mapping for arbitrary length binary types in SQL. I totally get how frustrating it can be when your code throws errors, especially when you're trying to pass binary data to a stored procedure. This is a challenge many developers face, and it can really slow down your progress. Let's look at a specific case. One user asked, "How do I handle arbitrary length binary types in my SQL query using Qt?" They mentioned encountering errors when using QString and QByteArray. Sound familiar? Let's explore this together. So what's going on here? The issue arises because Qt does not have a direct mapping for SQL's var binary type when using ODBC. This can lead to frustrating errors, especially when you're trying to pass parameters to your queries. Stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear solution to handle binary types in your SQL queries, and I promise it will make your coding life a lot easier. To begin addressing the user's issue with the QVariant mapping for the binary type, we need to use QByteArray for arbitrary length binary data. This is because QByteArray can handle binary data effectively in Qt. Next, the user should ensure that they are binding the QByteArray correctly in their SQL query. This involves using the bindValue method to bind the parameter with the QByteArray variable. Additionally, the user should verify that the SQL stored procedure is set up to accept the binary data correctly. This means checking that the parameter types in the stored procedure match the expected types. Finally, if the user continues to encounter issues, they may want to consider using the convert function in their SQL query to explicitly convert the data type as needed. Fun fact, did you know that the first databases were created in the 1960s? They were much simpler than what we have today, but they laid the groundwork for all the complex queries we write now. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. One alternative approach suggested by a user is to modify the stored procedure to accept a string representation of the binary value. For example, you could send a string like 0x23abd234 and convert it to binary within the procedure. Another option is to create a wrapper procedure in SQL Server. This wrapper would take a string, convert it to binary, and then call the original procedure. Lastly, the user inquires if there have been any updates to Qt that would support the current SQL Server data types. Here's a pro tip. Always check the data types you're using in your SQL queries. A small oversight can lead to big headaches down the line. And there you have it. You now have the tools to handle arbitrary length binary types in your SQL queries using Qt. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks.